Well, May is Masturbation Month. And it's a little surprising to me that a lot of people still have shame, stigma, fear around expressing their masturbatory tendencies. And I don't know about you, but I grew up being told that masturbation was something dirty. It was something less good than sex. It was something that good little boys and girls don't do. And of course we do it. Most of us do it. Pretty much everybody masturbates. But are you doing it well? Are you doing it in a way that breaks through that stigma, that breaks through that shame, and allows you to really enjoy it? So we're going to discuss how masturbation has been going on since the beginning of human history, how other cultures have viewed it, and how we can perhaps use it as a tool for our personal growth, spiritual evolution, and greater pleasure. So hey y'all, nice to meet you. If we haven't met before, my name is Kaelan Strauss. I am an ecstatic spirituality coach. I work with people around the world to help them come home to themselves. I host this YouTube channel where we explore the intersection of spirituality and sexuality, meditation and sex, finding authentic belonging within ourselves and within the world. I've written a couple books, and if you love this channel, if you checked it out before, please do me a favor. Hit the like button, leave a comment, hit the subscribe. It really does help us with analytics and get a little more traction, so thank you. So, spanking the monkey, choking the chicken, bashing the bishop. Colorful terminology to describe our sessions of self-loving. Did you know that self-pleasuring has been discussed since the earliest writings of human civilization? You can find cave paintings depicting masturbation. Predominantly men, but with some women. Ancient Sumer viewed masturbation as an important practice for improving one's sexual vitality. They actually had a special type of oil that increased friction to make self-pleasuring more enjoyable. And the ancient Sumerians also have stories about how Enki, the god, created the rivers of the Tigris and the Euphrates by ejaculating into two empty riverbeds. I think we can safely say that that must have been the largest splooge in human history to create two rivers that have stayed here for millennia. The ancient Egyptians also believed that the universe was created from a tomb ejaculating and spawning our world into reality. So when did things begin to change? When did this go from being this amazing thing of creation and cosmic connection, cosmic origins, to being something shameful and dirty? Well, not to lay blame, but the Christians. As we move into the Middle Ages, with the spread of Christianity, we see this idea that the human is less better than the spiritual, and that in order to achieve spiritual unification, we must forsake our bodies. We must turn our focus towards God and away from this earthly realm. And to be fair, the Middle Ages were not a very nice time. It was not a time of literacy, public health, transportation. We were at an all-time low pretty much. So yeah, this world might have been something that we wanted to escape. But due to this, we inherited very colorful practices like mortification of the flesh, where we actually destroyed these human bodies, made these human bodies suffer as a way to see ourselves become more spiritual. And these ideas continued on even into more modern times. We look at the Victorian Era, and the idea of connecting with oneself for sexual pleasure was very much shamed and frowned upon. Young people's clothings were redesigned to make sure that their pockets no longer had access to their genitals, so they couldn't touch themselves. Chastity devices to keep a young person from touching themselves began to be utilized. Interestingly enough, though, however, the Victorian era also gave us the word hysterical. Hysteria, becoming hysterical, was something that only applied to women. And the fun fact is that a woman would actually be relieved of her hysteria by being sent to the doctor, who would manually stimulate the woman to an orgasm and help relieve her hysteria, and then send her back home to her husband until the time that she required another treatment. Isn't that fun? But that sort of Victorian era idea around masturbation being something harmful, something that depletes you, does very much continue into modern day. In fact, I know adults who say that masturbation is something less than. That they don't masturbate, they would rather go find someone to have sex with rather than touch themselves. I even invite you to ask yourself, do you view masturbation as a type of lesser form of sex, something that you only do if you cannot find a suitable sexual partner to help relieve your sexual desire? Now, personally, I don't feel that way. Now, full disclosure, I am pretty masturbatorily focused in my sexual life. Even when I am engaged with another person, me and my husband, a lot of our lovemaking is with mutual masturbation. That said, I think masturbation is a wonderful tool for self-connection, for building our vigor and vitality, because, well, frankly, our life force is connected to sexual energy. When you experience an ejaculatory orgasm, when you share that sexual energy in an opposite sex-oriented experience, new life is possible. And from the Taoists to the Tantric practitioners to Ayurveda, we talk about our life force existing in our sexual fluids and how consciously using them can change our health, our well-being, our experience of joy in the world, and our sexual pleasure. Plus, frankly, I think masturbation is just a lot easier than trying to have a sexual experience with another person, because on the practical level, I know my body. I know my body much better than I'll ever know another person's body, so I know what feels good, what doesn't. I can communicate with myself easily when I need more or less, when I'm getting too close to an edge. With another person, that's much more difficult. And apart from the time it takes to get to know their person's body, I also, being an empathic person, being somebody who feels like they connect with energy more than just the physical, I don't always want to have somebody else's energy all up in my space. Like, sometimes it's nice to just be like, I'm here, you're there, we don't need to mingle. Now I get it, I'm kind of weird that way. Other people seem to really enjoy mingling their sexual energy more than I do. I prefer to keep mine to myself, and so masturbation is a really wonderful tool. Numerous spiritual traditions talk about different practices we can do with our breath, with our focus, with visualization, with manual stimulation of our sexual organs, to actually grow that potency, grow that sexual energy, move it through our body, and transform it into this transpersonal sort of oneness, cosmic, juicy, beautiful, compassionate energy. So for me, yeah, I masturbate throughout the day. Now, most of the time it's not to orgasm, and certainly not to the point of ejaculation. And yes, I have worked to separate orgasm from ejaculation, which is something you can do as well, and I highly recommend it for you gentlemen. But this idea of just constantly checking in with myself, because when I make love to myself, it isn't about what's out here. Yeah, I might be looking at a beautiful body, or maybe imagining a sexy scenario, but most of my focus is attuned to my physical body. I'm paying attention to how do I feel, where do I feel it, can I breathe into that space, move it through me, can I bring it up the spine, bring it to the crown of my head. And when we do this, by bringing our awareness to the sensations we feel, it becomes more than just getting off. It becomes a meditation. It becomes a transformative experience. And it becomes something that gives us life. I view my self-loving time as something very sacred, very special, something that makes my life infinitely better. And I am so grateful for having sexual organs, for being able to enjoy them, for having a partner that appreciates the fact that I love engaging with myself that way, that he loves to engage with me in that way. And so I invite you to start to look at where you're holding stigma, shame, fear around your own desire to connect with yourself. Because when it's done well, and when it's done appropriately, it is something that can really transform your outlook on your life. I often say, nobody experiences hate or a limited sense of self when they're in an orgasmic experience, when they're experiencing sexual ecstasy. When we are in the throes of sexual passion, we are naturally feeling expansive, joyful, connected with the world around us in a state of oneness. And in fact, different spiritual traditions will actually use a similar term, or sometimes even the very same term, to describe sexual ecstasy as to describe a state of deep meditation. So how could you use this month, this May, to help you untie a few of the knots around your connection with self-pleasure? What if you start to view it as something for which to be grateful, something to enjoy, something to celebrate, and perhaps something to explore just a little bit more? I think taking this time to really unpack and question the how and the why around what we do, how we do it, why we live the way we do, is part of our purpose here on this planet. I think when we really start to let go of prejudice, let go of our programming, and start to really choose what serves us and what doesn't, what makes us better people versus what is limiting us, and then make a conscious choice to live in a better way, I think that's a huge part about what being here is all about. So again, if you found this conversation valuable, please do drop a comment. I try to read every comment that you all leave. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe with notifications, and maybe even forward this to somebody else who maybe needs to reframe their relationship with their own lovemaking. And if you like this video, I'm going to recommend another one I did recently, which is about where are we putting our focus? What are we paying attention to? And maybe we need to stop being so tied into our devices, our phones, our laptops, our screens, and instead becoming more aware of what's going on within us and using our focus to create a better life. I think you'll enjoy that one. I'm Kaelan, this is Ecstatic Self. Hope you learned and laughed and smiled a little bit. Have a beautiful day.